It's Friday. Well, folks, nothing says Friday afternoon like a little mañana no más red, right? So I hope you've finished the week strong. I hope you're looking forward to, whatever it is that you want to do. I'd love to have a nice, relaxing dinner with me and my sweet, maybe have a glass of wine or two. But as we close out this week, I just want to take a moment and celebrate not only a ton of wins, but talk about coincidences and how things kind of run together. The title of this, I put, what a coinkydink, DIVI, what a coinkydink. So I was on the Membership Machine podcast with Jonathan Denwood this morning, and we knew what we were going to talk about. I mean, we knew that we were talking about Cadence Cloud versus DIVI. We knew we were going to have that conversation. And just to put things in perspective, Elementor has 15 million websites based on Elementor. DIVI, as popular as it is like 3.8 million, according to Google, sites there. So it kind of gives you, that scale, right? And so I get done doing the podcast with Jonathan, and yesterday I had a DIVI site to work on. Today I had 2 DIVI sites to work on. It is not normal for me to have, think about a quiver full of arrows, right? It's not normal for me to just keep pulling arrows out of the quiver and having them be DIVI websites. So I found myself, believe it or not, by the end of the day today, going through a customer's DIVI website and being because there were things that they wanted to do. They didn't want certain embedded short codes to show up on certain pages. They wanted, to expand, maybe not have a sidebar in lesson pages. They wanted to have a wider view for the learning content. And the platform is pretty intuitive for a guy like me to get in that doesn't work with it very often and just be click here, click this, click that, save, take a look, click, save, take a look. Now, in the other website, I ran across a couple of weird things. And that was, I was in the visual builder and I was building out, I got everything what I wanted. I put the SCORM content in that the customer wants to have in their page. I got it set to display full width. So I was very happy about that. And I'm in the edit screen and I click it, it opens up and it plays and everything looks wonderful. And then I go to look at it in a fresh window and the SCORM content does not display. Now, when I went to DIVI's page, it did list a thing called short codes for DIVI for $5. And then I thought, well, if my customer has this, it wouldn't come up trying to sell it to me. So maybe they need this. And this is the first time I've run into, hey, there's a short code and it's not showing up somewhere, but it shows up in the edit screen, but not on the forward facing page. And I'm trying to reason it out because it's also a Lifter LMS website, and Lifter LMS has a lot of elements in its platform that run by short code. And I'm like, well, those elements work. So do those elements work because they're part of another plugin, and maybe short codes that are added to content don't work unless you have the short code for DIVI add-on? I don't know. I'm going to have to do more research on that. But see, that's the cool thing about, building in public, working in public, and having these kinds of things come up is, every time you do something, you get to learn. Every time you do something, you get to learn. Think about it. How many times in the e-learning environment outside of corporate America are you working with SCORM content? You're not always working with SCORM content. So when you do get to work with the SCORM content and you run into a speed bump, don't get angry. Just be like, well, I guess there's some more I got to figure out here. I guess there's something I got to take a look at. So I'll take some downtime over the weekend. I'll do the research on that and see if they actually need that add-on or if I'm missing something else that is much more, elementary in how that works. So I told you I was on the podcast with Jonathan. I think the podcast went swimmingly. If you get a chance to watch that replay, we play them live when we record them, and then he actually edits and republishes them the following Thursday, I think it is. So in that light, the finished product will be out next week. But if you go to WP Tonic on YouTube right now, you could watch a replay of the live from this morning. It was one of the best shows I think that him and I have done together. It was more conversational. It went a long time. I think it's the longest podcast I've done with Jonathan so far. And I think over time, him and I are getting used to each other's cadence, communication, and probably have a little more trust in the direction that the other person is going. It seems like our shows are getting better and better and better with age rather than more and more tired. So I'm super excited, super stoked about that. I want to cover something else with you guys. And I see people signing in. So if you, there goes my camera. If you want to, hit up a comment, let me know where you're at, where you're from, jump into any kind of a conversation or something that I can answer, ask a question, feel free to do so. I don't mind that at all. I think that's awesome. I love people that participate. So here's what I wanted to tell you. And I may have said this last night, but we got the desks in for our new workspace. Those of you that are new to Mañana No Mas, new to Kurt Von Ahnen, new to any of this, we just escaped. We planned our escape and we successfully escaped from Southern California. We made it the 1,400 miles it takes to get to Hutchinson, Kansas. And we've rented ourselves a modest little home here, a little 3-bedroom, 2-bath, old house here in Hutchinson. And, is it like a step backwards from the palatial palace we had in Southern California? Funny, when I lived in Southern California, I didn't think it was a palatial palace. Once we got here, I was like, whew, that place in Southern California was kind of nice. So is it a step backwards? It is just a little bit, but let me explain how it's so many steps forward for us. So we're looking at a huge decrease in expenditure. I can't even put that into words for some folks. Some folks don't, sometimes you get so caught up in the daily struggle, the weekly struggle, the monthly struggle, that sometimes you lose sight of, hey, what does this look like big picture? What are we trying to accomplish as a family? How are we going to grow? What's this going to look like in 5 to 10 years? And sometimes you got to step back and you got to go, hey, where am I going to go, as all of this continues to unfold? If you're not careful, the minutia of the day will just steamroll you over and you'll lose focus. And a year goes by, 2 years goes by. In my case, 7 years in Southern California went by. As soon as we got to Southern California, I had a corporate job. It paid pretty well. But I told my wife, I said, if we ever lose this job, we got to escape and get out of here. We're not going to last that long. Well, I went almost 4 years without a regular job and grew my agency from a corporate layoff to the current status of my agency. I grew that over 4 years, and I sucked up some of my savings doing that. And when you take a look at the difference in the cost of living between Southern California and Kansas, folks, I should have been out of Southern California 3.5 years ago. And so we got here, we greatly lowered our costs, and that reduction in overhead, right, being self-employed, automatically converts into increased profit. And so we're going to take that increased profit as a business, and we're going to use it for certain growth strategies that we've got to try and grow this agency, maybe hire people that are local instead of relying on offshore help all the time, and really start to dive into what is the offer at Mañana No Mas? How do we add the most amount of value to the most amount of people? And how do we keep our margins where they need to be as a business? And I'm building all this in public. So if you want to, follow me along for what wins, what losses, things that work, things that don't. I was pretty blunt last month when I talked about I had a customer, hired me to build a website, prepaid me to make the website. Apparently they ran out of their own funding in their own project and then came to me as their website was almost finished and said, I want to cancel the contract. Can I get my money back? See, when you have work done on the internet, it's not like buying a pair of shoes at the mall. This isn't something you can return. You have bought somebody's labor, right? So this individual bought my labor. They spent their labor, that and then some. I gave them a lot of free stuff. I do that. I start taking care of people. I really try to, build a relationship with folks. And I gave her a lot of stuff, just gave it to her. And she decided that she wanted to cancel. I said, no, there's no refunds. You don't get a refund on labor. You already spent it. Like, that's gone. I'm sorry that you've overspent your budget in other areas, but I'm on time, under budget, based on the content you've given me to build this site, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, she filed a dispute with the credit card company, and boom, money goes right out of the account, gone. And sometimes you really have to take those licks, right? And go, okay, I can dispute it. Sure. I can dispute it. We can see what the bank's going to say. But banks tend to side with consumers in any kind of conflict. So I'm sitting here and I'm wondering, how do I get the right clients? How do I build an offer, right? So this to me is important. How do I build an offer that approaches the right people, the people that are funded, the people that know their own offer, the people that have assets that are ready to build a website? You see, in this last instance I was describing, she said she had all of her assets prior to hiring me. And then after she hired me, it turned out she didn't really own the graphic assets. She didn't have web-ready text. She didn't have web-ready images. She really didn't have anything to get this project started. And she hired me to build a learning site for her, but did not have a course written yet. And so when you're taking a look at a project like that and you go, hey, we want to have this done in 6 weeks, and then 2 months goes by and they still don't have their content ready, it's really hard to stay on a deadline when someone doesn't have their assets ready to put into the project. So she got behind on the project. She got behind on her finances. She wanted to use the savings account of Mañana No Mas Federal to take a withdrawal, and that did not work. So in the end, we ended up with a really negative experience. And that negative experience isn't just one way, right? It's not good for the client either. So I'm working real hard right now on figuring out, as we relaunch this thing, and I say relaunch because this Kansas thing is a whole different environment. So as we relaunch Mañana No Mas and we really outreach to all kinds of businesses, we want to make sure that we find out what's the offer that makes sense, what's the revenue that makes sense for that offer, and how do we know that we're adding value to everybody that we're touching? How do we know that we're really coming in with our A game? And so those are things that I'm really focusing on. Now, I don't see any comments coming in yet. So if you are watching this now and you are inspired to comment, tell me where you're from, give me comments and questions in the video, or if you're watching this as a replay, go ahead and hit up a comment after, and I'll see those come in, and I'll go ahead and hit you up with a reply, or maybe we can connect on LinkedIn or something like that. Now, in Kansas, we're not set up. We beat the moving truck by a week. So the moving truck is going to be here tomorrow with the rest of our stuff. But this area that I'm in now, there's a bookshelf right here. The bookshelf is done. I've got this little walking space that I'm comfortable in. I've got a standing desk. I've already set it with 3 presets. So sitting, standing to work, and then higher for when I do these lives, when I'm standing up and I want the camera to be higher. So that is awesome. My son's got the same setup. So him and I are sharing a room. We've made this our home office. He's homeschooled. He's right across the room from me. I can kind of keep my eye on things and help him out as he needs it. I'm over here. I've got a giant 33-inch monitor that is right there. So I've got the 33-inch monitor. I'll have that hooked up, so I'll have the dual screens working. We're going to bring in the ATR 2000 microphone that we've got, so the sound's going to get a lot better. And then I'm thinking about doing something with the lighting right up here. So if I were to put some additional lighting up off camera here, but coming towards me, like maybe a couple of LED bars, that'll take some of these harsh shadows off the wall behind me. Now, you might think I'm going a little overboard, but if we're going to take, everything that we're doing to the next level and try to make engaging content and try to help people understand what our offer is and what value we bring to a company as far as like business consulting, website development, e-commerce, e-learning, and public speaking, then we really need to put forth the A game. So, folks, I'm super excited. Like I said, what a Coinkydink, 2 DIVI sites. So DIVI site yesterday, 2 DIVI sites today to work on, a DIVI podcast that was done with WP Tonic and the Membership Machine Show. And just what a day. It's been a really, really, really great day. Finishing up the week strong. We've been in Kansas now for a week. We got here last Friday. Today is Friday. It's been a week. It's been a week of scrubbing walls, steam cleaning carpets, going back and forth between here and a relative's house that we've been staying at, waiting for furniture to show up, building office equipment and getting things set up and still trying to add value to customers in between all those tasks. I'm not going to lie. I've been burning the candle at both ends. I can't lie, burning the candle both ends. But in the end, I think this is a really great winning situation. Now, folks that are seeing all this, that are motorcycle dealers or power partners that I have in the power sports field, you're going, okay, he's really diving in on this Mañana no Mas thing. What's he going to do with the Power Sport Academy? The Power Sport Academy is still going. Just had a coaching call on Wednesday with a great dealership out of Monterey. Their numbers are up. Their labor production is up. Their service manager just completed another course in the Power Sport Academy course structure. So I am really, really happy with the way the Power Sport Academy is continuing to grow. I wish it was growing at a faster rate. I wish there was more dealer buy-in, but honestly, it's growing and it seems consistent. I don't want consistent. I want it boom, right? I want it to explode. Here's the great news. The great news is I've reached out to some other professionals in the power sports industry, and I've begun to show them a new project called the Power Sport Retailers Association. The Power Sport Retailers Association is a new thing that I've put together where it's not just Kurt and the Power Sport Academy. It's going to be folks that handle lead management. It's going to be folks that focus on sales, folks that focus on F&I, folks that focus on all like dealer communication systems, DCSs, right? People call them a DCS. If we can get these people together, and so there's a piece for me from service, then you have sales, you have F&I. If we put that together and we put some activities together that the dealers perform, we can be in a position to certify these dealerships, and be able to market those dealerships as this is a certified dealer. So imagine what that does. Like the Marine Retailers Association, who I also work with, certifies marine dealerships. And so they have a full dealership listing of all the marine dealers. And then the ones that are certified get, listed at the top. They get pinned at the top of the search bar. And they get the marketing advantage of being certified. They also get the process advantage of being certified. Folks, people that sell boats, people that sell motorcycles, even people in the automotive industry, even though they tend to operate at a higher level, they're enthusiasts. They love the product. They love being in the industry, but they don't necessarily know how to run the industry at a very high level. And so when we can put together structures and processes and pathways to help people in these industries, find success, that's a win-win-win. Now, there is a thing called the National Power Sports Dealer Association. I saw them come out a few years ago. We had talked to them a little bit about offering training for them. The folks at Garage Composites signed on as a sponsor of the National Power Sports Dealer Association, and that's great. That is awesome. When I look at the flow or the energy that they're really putting into dealerships from a certification process or from a community process, I see that there is a gap there. And I'm hoping that the Power Sport Retailers Association can fill that gap, offer them that kind of marketing edge and give them that push and offer the dealers that service that is not being fulfilled in that gap that I was talking about. So I'm looking very forward to that. Think about this. There's a thing called motorcycle industry jobs. Motorcycle industry jobs, as far as I'm concerned, is the standard to find people to work in the motorcycle industry. But here's what happens with a lot of dealerships. They wait until a technician quits, and then they kind of do that, friends and family routine, right? Hey, do you know anyone that's looking to, move here and work at my dealership? Hey, do you know anyone that's looking to move here and work at my dealership? And they try that for a week or two. They get distracted with running their business. Next thing you know, a month goes by. Well, now the lead time at their dealership's gone from 2 weeks to 4 weeks to 5 weeks to 6 weeks to get in and get work done. Now customers are getting ticked off because they can't get their vehicles in to get them worked on. The dealer is still busy with life and trying to figure out if he's going to hire somebody or not. And out of desperation, they call up motorcycle industry jobs. They try to list a job ad to attract somebody to come to work for them, but they're in a hurry. They're not professionals at writing, and they're not super creative linguistically. I'm trying to just throw out some stereotypes here. So they end up putting out job ads that are substandard, and they're not attracting the right people. Well, then they go back to motorcycle industry jobs and they go, hey, this ad didn't work. Why am I paying for this ad? I'm not getting any quality people. And they're thinking like after 2 weeks or a month that it's failed. Here's the deal. The motorcycle industry is much smaller than you give it credit for. It's a very small community. So think about this. If someone is part of the Powersport Retailers Association, they're going to have access to job descriptions that they can modify for their own use to make more specific, but they'll be fully versed job descriptions. Those job descriptions can be easily morphed or turned into help wanted ads that are much more complete and much more full than what's currently getting put out. So that's one thing. The other thing is we are currently working on an arrangement with motorcycle industry jobs where people that are members of the Powersport Retailers Association can get kind of like a membership into motorcycle industry jobs. And that membership will allow them to post more ads more frequently and to kind of keep that bench warm for when things happen so that the dealers can have a warmed bench ready to take action before it's an emergency, before things get out of control. And so the more we work with dealers to be in charge of what's coming their way, the more we empower them to be proactive, the better they're going to be at running their businesses, serving their customers, and quite honestly, being somebody that can, add value to the OEMs that they represent. So I am not someone that's anti-OEM. I used to work for the OEMs. However, having worked for the OEMs for a decade, I recognize what the OEM is in business for and what their goals are. And their goals don't directly align with dealership ownership goals. So it's really important to recognize everybody's role in the relationship and help them fill those roles appropriately. And that's what the Powersport Retailers Association is aiming to do. And a big cornerstone product of that is the Powersport Academy, because that service training is such a big chunk of the meat that we're able to offer in that association. So for those of you that were wondering, no need to wonder any longer. Now, let's see if I've got anything here. We do have new courses. I've got new courses available at Mañana No Mas. Got new courses available at the Powersport Academy as well for those that are in there. I didn't see any questions come in, and I didn't see any comments come in. So let's call this Happy Friday. If you are at happy hour, I hope that you enjoy yourself. I hope you've enjoyed this little happy hour. I'm going to sign you guys out with my thank you for watching screen, and I'll talk to you guys maybe over the weekend. Bye-bye.